welcome to the round 18 review as the Carlton Football Club lose another match. This time, it was to the Brisbane Lions. 9 goals, 12, 66 to 15 goals, 13, 103 in front of, surprisingly, 32,000 people. I said this against Collingwood when it was 75,000, and I'll say it again today. I don't know if that's right. Call me crazy. Maybe I'm just so jaded with what's happened with Carlton that I just don't believe anything. But such is the state of affairs. I still can't believe 32,000 people were there from what I saw. But it's not the most important thing to be thinking about. The Blues were just picked apart and beaten by a much better team at the end of the day. And that's no surprise to anyone. The week was so interesting this week. So interesting this week. The theme that had come out this week was around, the next layer of spillover of emotion. Seemingly, apparently, a Carlton fan had, texted the antisocial line last week. Well, that's how it was framed anyway. And Vossi had received what seemed to be a heinous and a threat or a death threat. And it wasn't until day of the game that the actual words in the text of the antisocial hotline were revealed. And it was revealed that it was, in fact, a Collingwood supporter who has now been handed a 5-year ban from attending games. And the message was not great. And I can't believe I'm actually almost defending it. Like, I'm not. It's unacceptable what was written. Like, it's so stupid to have sent in such a text message. But beyond that, right? It almost felt like it was used as an opportunity to stick it as a narrative with raging, angry fans. And that's how it felt to me. I watched Vossi's presser pre-game. He spoke very powerfully about, why he is involved in this sport and his time as a child and what he remembers and, being given the Sharon at a young age and a day later we realised it was a Collingwood supporter who wrote the message. So it wasn't a Carlton supporter who wrote the message. So therefore the Carlton supporter did not send a death threat to Vossi, and the raging Carlton fans were not actually the ones that were at fault for this. But it kind of felt like it was weaponized to send a message to the raging Carlton fans to say, hey, we don't support in this way. And part of me says, oh, maybe the club just didn't know the details around who sent the text message until it was released on game day. But then the other part of me says, nah, wouldn't have been that hard to figure out. And so the skepticism continues, and such is the situation that we find ourselves in right now that I just don't believe anything. Which is a really weird and sad time. I mean, I kind of feel that with a lot of things in the world anyway. Like, you don't believe absolutely everything that's told to you. It kind of had a bit of propaganda about it, if I'm on a lower scale of propaganda. It wasn't exactly what we've seen with lockdowns and the like, but it kind of had that feel about it. It kind of had that, how are we going to spin this around to send the message that we want to send out into the ether? And so I found myself sort of getting pulled in and sucked in and really feeling for Vossi, and oh wow, a Carlton supporter's really gone too far here, and what are we doing here? This is not it. And then pretty quickly, sort of you have the whiplash of that, and the points of reflection, and you know, can I be a better supporter? Like, I sort of go through that, only for a day or two later to realize that actually didn't happen. And it was actually an opposition supporter who made a pretty crude gag in a text message. I don't believe Vossi's life was truly threatened. It was a dark joke, a very, very dark joke. And so that just another cloud of, oh, what's really happening here appears. But, you know, whatever. Game day was a bit different. I've found myself, just bracing for losses so much more. There's no surprise that things are broken at the footy club and the team and the way that the game is played. And, you know, to be honest, it just looks like the guys have just lost for the most part. Like, for a little bit it's there, but for the most part, it just looks like the joy of the great game has been ripped out of the playing group. They don't love it enough to care about the minor details. On the other end, you got the Lions, who are just so precise with the way that they move the ball. And so going in there, definitely braced for what was to come. I definitely had a fear that it would blow out and the Lions would use it as an opportunity to really put the Blues to the sword, win by 80, 90, 100 points. And it did definitely look that way in the first 5-10 minutes of the game. It was just so clinical, the way that they were moving the ball freely out of stoppage and really from whenever they won the ball back off turnover. So, they were great. Take nothing away from the Lions. Clearly, I don't think anyone has or will. I went with my sister and some friends as well. Ari was sitting behind me, which was good. Went to the game. Had the first game with Ari. You do the usual before the game. I remember turning to him and asking him, like, are we a chance today? Like, just, any chance at all? And that's the beautiful delusion of being a supporter. Like, you're there just in case. Like, just in case today's the day. Just in case the Phoenix rises from the ashes. Maybe today will be the significant moment in time where you see the turnaround and the spirit that we've been all crying out for. And then you just continue to watch the game, and the lack of care for the fundamentals, the lack of care for one another, the lack of communication out there. Young Matt Carroll just gets pinned twice in minutes. The lack of care to just bring him off the ground after the first one and say, all right, settle yourself down. It's not like it was his first game. He's played a chunk of games in the league now. And then to see it happen again, and you're just left wondering, like, what are you all doing out there? Like, what's happening? I believe it's hard to be this bad, this often. It has to be. Like, to be this poor at the fundamentals this often, I think is tricky. Now, it's not to say that there wasn't a bit more fight in the group. And, there are some opportunities that went missing in front of goal. Shots on goal from Charlie, Ashton Moyer, Jesse Motlop, Lucky Fogarty. Ones were pretty gettable. So it's not like the margin could have been better. It could have been. And it's not like opportunities weren't generated more than what we had seen in the previous few weeks, because they were. But yeah, it's just so different going to the footy now. We did get one of the joyous moments of the season, which was quarter time. Marc Pitternet, a torp from outside 50 after the final siren of the first quarter. And I just loved every bit of it. That was great. And I'm happy he got the moment. I'm really happy for him that he got the moment. And I was reminded of a message that had been sent, and it was actually a tweet that had been sent years ago, or a year ago, I should say, about what does it embody to be a good / competent ruck in this game? And it reads as follows. The key skills needed to be a good ruckman are the ability to tap the ball to advantage, create space for midfielders, and be physically aggressive at stoppages and around the ground, and be a presence. And I think Marc Pittonet does that for the most part. Like, that's it. We don't need him to be a superstar. He's obviously limited in what he does, but I think he just focused in on what he did, and he's done it 2 weeks in a row now. And yeah, at times like this, for me, it's about, okay, well, who's coming along for the ride in the future? Who's going to be there round 1 next year when I'll be there, you'll be there, whether you're at the game or whether you're watching at home? Like, who's going to be a part of whatever the next wave is going to bring? And Pitto just played with the desire that I think everyone just wants to see for 4 quarters. Just compete. We've stripped it right back. Every layer's been peeled back. It's no longer about, if we're a top 4 side. It's no longer about, well, if we're a serious side. It's not even any longer about, well, if we're a final side. It's just about, can we field 22, 23 players who just love having a go? Like, it's been stripped right back to the simple joys of football and the simplicity of every role on the ground out there. And yeah, so I was happy for Marc Pittonet, and we got to spend the quarter time break just talking about it and getting a little bit delusional, like, oh, is this the turning point? Is this the moment? Is that the energy that the group needs? Because the group did really get around him, and there was feeling about it. There was something about it. There was, oh wow, like, look, they're together again. Something magical happened that, I don't know if Pitto kicks that goal many more times, if he has, 9 more shots at it. I don't know. Does he kick that goal 2, 3 times out of 10? He just hit it sweetly and it went through. So that was nice. And then you just watch it unfold. Mistake after mistake. Lapse in concentration after lapse in concentration. Heads drop. Lions punish. Clinical. They bully us after moments. No one remonstrates. Yeah, so the issues that the team has faced all year rear their ugly head. And my sister, well, before that, so there were 2 things that I enjoyed the most about last night. Number 1 was I got to meet Maz. So if you watch the channel and you're in the live streams, you'll know the username Maz. And Maz has been around for a little while now, and it was at halftime. We were out on the balcony on level 2, and she came up to me and said, "Hey, I'm Maz." And like, the joy in me to meet Maz, who I have been speaking to via this platform for a long time now. And, Maz is just a great contributor and just a great woman. And to meet her in person, it felt like I knew Maz. Like, I'm already calling her by her nickname, and it was really interesting. And like, we're all strangers on the internet that have just met through the various platforms and channels and communities that have been built. And I really felt this connection to Maz, and I do feel this connection to the people and to the community. I think a lot of us feel that, and somewhere in there is the essence of what it means to be a Carlton supporter. To talk about the bond that we share in the misery, and the same conversations that you have with a lot of people. Maz, for example, was saying, I don't know why I chose this for my kids, and I can relate to that because I tell my mum all the time, like, what were you thinking? And mum apologizing to me, and so just to bond over that was beautiful. And then the second thing, man, the barramundi tacos at Marvel Stadium, A1. Like, we're talking elite food here. I had it at, I think it was halftime. Yeah, after halftime, came back. I got the 2 tacos. Absolutely delicious. When's our next Marvel game? Might be Gold Coast. I can't wait to have another set of those. So that was the best part of that. And then my sister left before 3/4 time. She turned to me and she said, if the Lions kick another goal here, then I'm out. And then sure enough, a minute later, they kicked the goal and she was out. I sort of sat there. I was like with my housemate. I'm like, we're just sitting there repeating the groans from the poor decisions that get made out there on the field, whether it doesn't even matter. It honestly doesn't even matter. And that I had that feeling last week more so, and I battled with it internally in the fourth quarter to leave and just beat the rush, come home. I didn't want to finish at 4 a.m. or 3 a.m., 4 a.m. I was like, I just want to go home. I'm done. So 3/4 time, got up, left, and watched the remainder of the game on my phone, and it kind of sparked another memory for me. So before all of this, I was living out of the country, and I have watched Carlton games in places around the world that you just and the lengths that I needed to go to make sure that the phone was sitting in a spot to get the right connection so I could watch the game, but I wouldn't miss a second. And this is 2017, 18, and 19. So this is these are bad years. These are bad losses, and I wouldn't miss a second. And so I'm watching the fourth quarter unfold on my phone, walking to Southern Cross Station to catch the train to come home. And it kind of reminded me of that, doesn't matter if you're there or not. You're still tuning in, whatever. I had placed so much emphasis on be there for your club till the final siren, because that's what a real supporter does. That's not true. That's just not true. And then in that moment, I'm sitting on the train, I board the train, and I watch Carlton kick 3 goals in a row. And for a split second, I think, you have got to be kidding me. They're about to do it. The moment I give up, the moment I succumb to it, wave the white flag on them, they turn it around and kick 3 in a row. But obviously, it didn't mean anything. It would have been a massive stitch up if I had have left and they had have just turned it around and found a way to win the game. But yeah, that was never happening. So yeah, that was my experience last night, round 18, 2025. Fan cams was epic as usual. Some really good conversations are being had at the moment. Some really thoughtful, deep conversations are being had at the moment. And I guess that's the thing that's keeping me going at the moment. Just to feel connection to human beings. Life's about, you're here. I think it's all about contributing something, whether that be what you do with your life, what you create, the impact you have. You live, you die. You live, you work, you die. The family, if you create a family. So some sort of contribution, and then you're gone. So, yeah, I don't want to get too caught up in... the club is a mess. And I do think after leaving that game, I felt it. And I woke up this morning and I still feel it. It just feels like the joy of what it's all about, the spirit of the game, it's been sucked out of the players. And I think some of them are really just not liking the place that they work for. And that happens. Sometimes you're in a workplace and it's toxic, and there's things that are just so wrong with it that you just fail to believe in it anymore. And I just see that there. And I made a comment last night about, my deepest fear is that we get a mass exodus of players who don't want to be there. More so from the fact that the reason why I say that is because what that would mean a real gutting, back to the bottom, and a long journey back to maybe contending one day again, whether that be for a 12-month period of good footy in a 10-year block or not. So, yeah. But, is it a fear? No. If it happens, we'll just deal with it. We'll still keep watching, whether we go to games or whether we live our lives and travel the world, or whether we just watch from home. We're still going to tune in. So, yeah. Proper. 34 years of age. And that was the first time I actually left properly early. But it doesn't mean anything. It's not going to send a message. Maybe it will if it happens collectively. Maybe it will. So that's that. Just gets me thinking. The more division there is within the supporter base, I think that only plays into the hands of the ones who continue to make the wrong decisions at the club, and they continue to get away with it. It's really easy to point the finger when the fan base is divided. It's really easy for those that need to be held accountable to not be held accountable when the fan base is turning in on each other. So I think that's a really important thing to remember here. At the end of the day, we all just want to see a successful Carlton Football Club, and we all say it in different ways, but ultimately I think we all want the same thing. Sometimes I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure that we all just want to see a successful Carlton Football Club. And then there's the next layer of, okay, cool, a successful Carlton Football Club, great. We get the great season that we want, and we get the premiership and the great grand journey to the top. And then what? That'll just fix things. Everyone will just be united, maybe for a moment in time. But then you can just sort of see it. Oh, but this team was nowhere near the team that I watched. They wouldn't have it. They, who would win out of this team, the 95 team? Like, you just see it unfolding again. So, whatever. Yeah. This year has, usually every year, I start the year and I sort of wait. Like, okay, what is the year going to be? What's the lesson to take out of the season in relation to the way I support the club? And this one, I think it's pretty clear it's going to be about like the controlling of emotions part. I really use the footy as a vehicle for that part of my own evolution. And it's like a test. Can you break? Can you break? And can you give in? And can you just act out and lash out? Or can you have control of your emotions? I think that is powerful. But also just to be so fluid to understand that things can change right before your eyes and to accept them. Like, they're not a top 4 team, okay. Not a finals team, okay. They're not even a team anymore, okay. It's not even a club, a united club anymore. And then accept it, and then talk about maybe some solutions to fix it, and then hope for better days. So, yeah, there's a bit more digging to do there, but that's kind of where I'm at in my mind at the moment. I don't even know how 20 minutes has gone by. I've just gone into a little trance there. So, yeah, that was my experience in round 18. What was yours? And what has round 18 made you reflect on? Like, why do you still keep going? Why do you still keep showing up? It's clearly it's not about winning games, because we're not going to be winning many games for the rest of the year, if any. We're watching a dispirited, broken group at the moment who are fractured, and a club that's fractured and in some pain, and big changes coming. And so we're seeing this next layer of evolution of the club come. Whether it's going to work or not remains to be seen. So, what is it for you? Is it just that time you get to spend with your family or your mates that you go to the footy with and just soaking up those moments? Or is it something else? What do you reflect on? Chat with us in the comments below. Document your little piece of history. Wow, the historians one day will look back at the comment section of these videos. What will they say? What will the historians and those that want to study sports fandom and footy fandom, what will they say when they read through all the information and all the evidence that we have documented here over the course of the last 8 or so seasons, or 5 seasons here on the YouTube platform, and then the other 3 on others on Instagram and Facebook and the like. So, yeah, what does that say to you? Chat to you soon. Go Blues.